Hi, I'd like to go through some hand drills with you. Really good for stretching out fingers, wrists, forearms, strengthening of the hands and wrists for anything that you're going to be doing in weight bearing. That's my cat talking to a magpie. Give your hands a really good shake out. I'm having to squat a little bit and just stay inside the frame here. Really all you need to see is my hands. Get some blood flow going into your hands. You can be quite vigorous with this. And then just give them a squeeze with nothing inside of them. Fingernails can dig into the palms of your hands. And again, nice tight squeeze. And then turning the knobs on a stove. So you really want to get a sense of that plane of movement. Master it slowly and then you can add some speed to it. If you start to lose your form, bring it back to turning knobs on a stove. I'm not really a big counter, so if you were to ask how long should I be doing this for, think of time rather than repetitions, and then waving like the Queen on speed. Oh, you get fatigued quite quickly doing this, and even your thumb pads start vibrating. Again, if you lose your form, just slow it down. Come hither fingers, I call these. So really straighten the fingers, really stretch the spaces between each finger. You can really start to add some roll with it, so you're going into as much extension as you can and as much flexion. Do what feels good. So again, you might do 10 of these. I'm not going to stick again too much with the numbers. We're just going to go through just to remind you what the movements are. And I'm clearly not doing all of the movements in this session, just showing you a couple of what we do. So waves with the fingers, they can be big waves, they can be little waves, they can be side waves. And then disco arms, I call it. Also, while you're sitting on your feet, just to save time, and now I'm out of frame, but that doesn't matter, is you can actually come and sit on your toes. When it starts to get too much, take the weight out of it. If it gets too much again, bring yourself down onto your toes. As soon as your body's forgotten it, bring yourself back up onto your toes again. Disco arms, I call this. We're looking for parallel forearms. I'm looking for the stretch on the top of the wrist, and I'm looking for the stretch underneath the wrist, but also the mindfulness of the compression in the back of the wrist as well. So it may be that you just move from side to side. Watch you're not all scrunched up in the neck. Just keep that neck, can you swallow? Is your throat relaxed enough to swallow? Not saying to swallow, but saying stay relaxed in the throat. You might want to start to glide it or roll it. Bit Saturday Night Fever-ish, and just really exploring the wrists, seeing what they feel like for you, what is tight, what is sore, what is feeling uncomfortable, and taking it back the other way. Check in with how the toes are feeling. If it's starting to get too much, you can always lift some weight out of it, or you can just come down onto the fronts of the feet. And then just giving those fingers a bit of a wiggle, making some circles. I think the term is waggle, not wiggle. Wiggle has got a very linear feel to it, whereas waggle is a bit more exploratory, I say. Take the hands apart, one over the top, hook the hands back underneath, and roll around and through. You're trying to wind them up. You're looking for where you're feeling tight. Don't forget you've got your collateral ligament. That's the ligament that runs down through the side of the hand that rotates. It's the jar opening one. Again, just really exploring and opening up all those little bones in the wrists. And of course the other way. So release the hands, other hand goes on top, fingers in, it's the goofy side. Remember, if it starts to get too much for the feet, give the toes a bit of a rest. And I love this one, splash water at your friends. Cast a spell on them. So you're really trying to really spread the fingers as far apart as you can. If you happen to have a one of those red post office rubber bands and you're a bit bored, pop the rubber band around the ends of the fingers and see if you can make that round shape with that rubber band around the fingers. That's a really awesome exercise too. Hey buddy. And then placing the hands down on the ground. The first couple of times I do this, I just relax my fingers, place them down, and I just want to bend at a right angle. Please don't jump on that table. So I want the pads of my hands to remain in contact with the floor. And we're going for a right angle, meaning I want a right angle to the ground. If you are hypermobile and you already have a right angle, you might not need to focus so much on this exercise. And then I spread my fingers and really consciously try and keep my knuckles in contact with the ground and start to bend it. And that's a really different exercise when you really consciously spread your fingers. And again, you're not doing it super fast, you're not doing it super slow, you're going into end range, and we're not doing it in weight bearing. I don't have a lot of weight down in it, my hands are not over the top. Once you get better at it, you start to load it. And then I want you to focus on your first finger and roll your weight into your first finger, and roll through to the second, the third, and the fourth, and then roll back to the first, and just notice how we don't always distribute the weight evenly through those fingers. It kind of just looks like I'm doing some circles with my thumbs. If you don't have a right angle yet, when I first started, I was down here, just clawfoot. You're going to use your other hand. You're going to block your fingers down so that those pads don't come up. You want to lift up the hand. You want to take your knee and you want to draw your knee in the back of the palm until you reach a manageable stretch. Take a big breath in, and we're going to do a contract relax series, which is the stretch therapy stuff, the Kit Lachlan stretch therapy. So you want to gently start to push your fingers down into the ground, like you're trying to straighten your hand. Start very gently, and then really try and push the fingers down evenly. First, second, third, and fourth finger. 3, 2, 1. Stop the contraction and slowly release it. Your hands will change colour. They'll go from white to pink. Just give them a little shake out. And do the same thing on the other side. So hand comes down. Use your other hand to block your fingers. Bend at the joint. Take your knee to the back of your palm. Find a considerable stretch. I asked Yuri Marmerstein once if you could break your hands, and he said no. I think I tore my own collateral ligament once. So start really gently, push the fingers down, and then really give them a decent go. 3, 2, 1, stop. Big breath in. And we're just doing one contraction today. It's good to start with 1 and go to 2, and then you can start to really increase those contractions as in repetitions, especially if you don't have the right angle. If you've got the right angle, you don't need to work on it so much. Give those hands a little bit of a shake out. Lovely. I mainly suffer from a congested feeling in the back of my wrists, so I'm going to put the back of my wrists down and just give them a bit of a wiggle. So they call this clocking, like this is a clock. And we're going to just explore the clock. It's going to be really different for everybody. So I'm just going to bend and try and straighten out my arms. These are kind of pre-prep ring work. Of course, rings would be, we would do a different drill again. Take my marbles off. So I'm just exploring the clock and what it's feeling like. There are some areas that are super easy, like I can straighten my arms. Other areas, not so good. Maybe a bit of a wiggle, just kind of really checking in with the back of the wrists and how they're feeling. And of course, when we're grown-ups, we'll do push-ups of the back of our wrists. And again, if you want to give them a gentle shake out again. I like to hold on to both of the bones in my arm and just kind of dissociate my wrist from my forearm. And that kind of feels really nice. Super. Gently place the hands on the ground. Rotate your elbow armpits, or elbow eyes, I call them. So rotate your elbow eyes in front, rotate them behind. See if you can keep kind of quiet through the shoulders. Kind of getting really busy up in the neck. See if you can just make that movement happen. Certainly there's going to be some movement in the shoulders because everything's joined. But just, and again, I don't have a lot of weight in my hands. And then I'll take some weight down into my hands and I'm going to just make a bit of a circle. Check in with how the back of the wrist is feeling. I might shift my weight left, right, shift my weight forwards. And then I'm going to drag my fingers back. So this is a little exercise in strengthening as well. So I'm going to keep that part of the pad of my hand on the ground and I'm going to keep my fingertip on the ground and I'm going to lift, not my first joint, my second joint. So I'm just going to drag my fingers back and create a little tunnel. And I have a disobedient pinky finger, so I have to kind of just go, this is what it feels like. And then it just kind of pings back out the way again. And so you're just dragging your fingers back while keeping the pads on the ground. If you're having trouble with that, use your other hand to anchor down the pads of the fingers and try and drag them back that way. So this is a good position to take in handstand. You can kind of practice the sensation of your fingers pulling you back by creating your little tunnel, taking your weight forwards, float your weight forward over your hands, and then see if you can get your fingers to push you back. Float forwards, push the fingers back. So that's a really good one. And then little seal arms. So I'm going to go onto the flat so you can see my hands. I am going to shift my weight left, right. I'm going to draw a circle. Back the other way. I'm going to go elbow eyes in front, elbow eyes behind, elbow eyes in front and behind. And so really you can kind of skim through most of your hand drills pretty quick, 5 to 10 minutes. Usually takes a little longer to kind of learn them. There might be some that really blow your hair back and you love, and there might be others that are not so applicable to maybe what you're working on in your practice. It may be that you've just got really tight forearms and you're just working on strengthening or stretching out the forearms, and then taking the fingers all the way back towards you. And same thing again, I'm playing with my weight. My right is definitely tighter than my left. Circles. And again, I'm not giving a number, we're just floating through what the movements are. And elbow eyes in front, elbow eyes behind. There's Not a whole lot of movement there, but I can do it in my mind. And I do get a really nice stretch trying to rotate my elbow eyes inwards. Nice big breath. Nice. And if at any point you need to give them a bit of a shake out, just shake them out. Another really nice strengthening exercise, especially if your focus is handstanding, and I don't reach the ground. I've got kind of a really weird long torso and short arms and legs. So I have to round myself out to make this happen. So I'm going to go pinky fingers down into the ground, and like with the contractions we're doing for stretch therapy, I'm going to gently push my fingers down into the ground to start with, and then I'm going to try and lift myself up with my pinky fingers. It feels like I've got nothing there. And I may hold that for 15, 20 seconds, something like that, and release. And I go next finger, push down into the ground, start really gently. Hey buddy. Push as hard as I can. I'm trying to lift myself up off my fingers, and I can't. It just feels not very strong. And release. And when I get to my middle finger and push my middle finger down, I'm like, okay, that's the kind of strength where I could almost lift myself up. You know, when we do one finger handstands and one finger push-ups. And then first finger, same thing again. Start really gently, push down into the ground, and then harder. So like you're almost trying to lift yourself up with your fingers. And release, and thumbs down into the ground. And finger push-ups. And look, if you're not really strong, everyone can do a finger push-up. Well, maybe not everyone, but I don't have to put a lot of weight. I can shift my weight back, so I'm just really making my body do the movement. You know? I could take my knees back further and make it a stronger movement. I could do them on my toes. You can always find a way to do it. Well, you can always find a way to make it harder. And maybe you might want to do 10, just for the sake of maybe knowing how many you can or can't do, so that you can gauge a progression in your own work. Beautiful, check them out. Knuckles together, make a nice long straight line. This is more ring work. Bring them all the way down onto the ground, and from there trying to straighten the arms out so you can see how tight I am. I haven't really been working on this particular one very much lately. If I straighten my fingers, I can straighten my arms out. I can try and pull my fingers back, but that doesn't really work too good. And another nice one I really like, which is an old martial arts. So your palm is down, you rotate your thumb away. I'm going to grab my thumb, I'm going to curl my hand around. I'm trying to rotate and give that wrist a really good stretch. Breathe. Same thing again. Palm down, thumb up. I'm just going to grab my thumb and my whole hand, rotate it. A hand bar. Beautiful. Nearly through. And of course the best way to do your forearms is to have someone do them for you. But if you don't have that, you're going to go knee, start at the elbow, you're going to work your way down. I work into my hand as well, and it's front, back, left, right. So you're just using your knee to massage your forearm. So in the knee goes front, back, left, right. So I'm just looking just to see what it feels like. My palm is up towards the ceiling. As I start to move the knee down more towards the middle of the forearm, that's where I'm starting to get a bit of action now. Breathe. And just keep working your way all the way down towards your palm. If you feel a nice juicy spot and you want to just hang into it, give it a nice deep myofascial stretch. Your fingers are going to do crazy things, curling up. If you want to keep them curled out with another hand, that's totally fine. If you want to just let them curl up, that's totally fine as well. As I get down towards my wrist, I like to use the sticky outy part of the bone of my leg to kind of get into my thumb pad. So once I get down towards my wrist, I have to play around and find that little ridge. And once I've found my thumb pad, I will just run my bone of my knee across my thumb pad in towards the crease of my hand. So just kind of across that little area there. And that feels really good. I probably shouldn't say it. I do these every day. And do they get easier? The pain in my forearm doesn't seem to get less. Maybe I get used to it. But I guess I never stop using my hands every day, so I think certainly my blood flow is much better there. And of course you'll do your other arm. So they're just a few, like, crammed into, what have we done, 10-15 minutes, something like that. So if you're doing any work on your hands, downward dog, yoga, any kind of animal loco stuff, the animal flow, handstands, anything like that. If you're doing a lot of lifting, if you're someone that sits to a computer and types all the time, all of these drills are fantastic for all of you. I really appreciate my hands. I hope you do too. Talk to you soon.